Hello everyone, welcome to Bella's Chinese class. In this lesson, we're going to introduce one of the most important parts of Chinese, the Chinese characters. When you first see Chinese characters, you may be very confused. It looks like they are composed by random lines and strokes, but they're actually not that difficult. They're just different from the Latin letter system that English speakers are used to. When you write a word in English, you know the sound of it first. For example, fire. You know the f sound is made by the letter F. And IRE usually make the sound air. That's how the phonetic writing system works. But it's different in Chinese. Let's look at the picture of fire first. If we simplify the picture of fire, we have something like this. And let's make it even more abstract and make it more simpler. Then it becomes the character 火. As you can see, the Chinese writing system is based on the drawing of things, and each Chinese character is a picture of an object or a picture to describe something. This is called a pictographic writing system. Let's take a look at some more examples. This is a picture of a tree, and if we abstract the picture of the tree, we have something like this. Let's simplify the picture furthermore. We have something like this. Finally, if we make it more abstract, we'll get the Chinese character tree. So what about a forest, where there are many trees? Of course, just put many trees together and we get the character for forest. Let's look at the Chinese character that represents a worm. Ancient Chinese write it like this. Then it is further abstracted to this one, and now we write it like this. See, Chinese characters are just simplifications about the real pictures around life. Let's look at some abstract stuff. For example, the cloud. The two lines on the top mean sky, and the airflow under it forms the cloud. Look at how straightforward it is. What about some even more abstract one? In last lesson, we learned how to express I have, 我有. How does this character come from? Well, as you know, Asian people live by hunting, and when you capture an animal and get meat in your hand, that's the most important thing that you have. So let's draw a hand first, and then let's draw a meat in the hand. Then let's simplify the picture, and you get the characters 有. Let's look at another character we learned previously also. 不, we learned 不是, 不会 as the negative meaning of no. So why does it write like this? That's because our primitive ancestor first used the negative meaning to describe a bird cannot fly. So they draw a bird with a cross to represent incapability of doing something. As time goes by, this character is simplified to this and is broadened to all negative meaning. So as you can see, these are all the examples of how pictographic writing system works. However, as the society develops and more characters are needed, you can't draw unique pictures every time to make up a character. That's too complicated. Therefore, we have something as a compound word. Similar as the word in English, we have the prefix and word root, so we have some compound word as biography, geography. Let's look at this Chinese character. The character 禾 means crops in farming, and we learned 火, which means fire. So if we combine these two characters together, we get 秋, which means autumn. Why is it? That's because in autumn, the farmers will burn the crop after harvest, so the rest of the crops can be used as fertilizer for next spring. Therefore, we combine these two characters 禾 and 火 to make up a new character 秋. Okay, now we know the background of Chinese characters and how does these characters come from. Knowing the background, you will find every character actually very makes sense and comes from real life, isn't it? This background will help you better understand Chinese characters and learn to write it. Let's take a break and we'll come back to learn how to write Chinese characters. We talked just now that Chinese characters are derived from real pictures. However, you can't draw a new picture and invent a new character randomly to express your meaning. There has to be something uniform or something like a regulation or principle to follow. Therefore, in modern Chinese, we have these basic components. Every single Chinese character is composed by some of these strokes. Let's look at the characters we introduced just now. The character mu is composed by these 4 strokes. The character he is based on the character mu and add on 1 more stroke. Qiu, as we learned before, is just combine these 2 characters together. Let's look at another one. The character huo is composed by the stroke this one, this one, this one, and this one. The character chong is composed by more strokes. We have this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So in total, there are 6 strokes for the character chong. If we combine the character huo and character chong together, we have a new character, zhu, which means candle. Because we know a candle is something that lightens the darkness. In ancient times, people make cotton to a thin, worm-like tool and light it up by fire to make it as a candle. That's why the character candle is composed by the character huo and character chong. Let's look at some more complicated characters that we learned before. In previous lessons, we learned hello, which is ni hao. The character ni is composed by 7 strokes. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. You can match all of the strokes to the list on the left. The character hao is composed by 2 characters, nu, write it like this one. Zi is composed by this stroke. Nu means daughter, zi means son. If you have both a daughter and a son, that's a very good thing to Asian people. So we combine these 2 characters together to mean good, 好. To summarize, all of these Chinese characters, even though some look very complicated, they all can be disassembled to these basic strokes. Okay, let's take a detailed look of the strokes one by one. Each stroke has a name, but it's not necessary to know the name as long as you can write the Chinese characters. However, some people may feel like knowing the name can help them memorize the Chinese characters. So it's up to you if you want to remember the names of the stroke or not. Let's look at the first one. 点 is a dot, and 横 is a horizontal line. 竖 is a vertical line. 撇 is a vertical line, but its end deviates to the left side. 捺 is a curved slant. 提 is a lift, goes from bottom to top. 横折 is a horizontal line with an angular bend. This one is 横撇. Just now we learned 横 and 撇, so we just combine them together. The stroke 横撇has some variations. Let's see. If we make the second part smaller, we have 横钩, and make it longer, we have 横折钩. Let's look at the next group. This one is combined with the horizontal line, the vertical line, and the lift. We have 横折提, and the variation of it is 横折弯. Another variation is 横折折. Make the lines into curves. We have 横折钩, and we transform it a little bit. We have 横折弯钩. Let's look at the next group. This stroke looks like the letter 3, 横撇弯钩. And we transform it a little bit. We have 横折折撇. And make it straighter. We have 横折折折. And transform it a little bit. We have 横折折折钩. You can see the order when we write a stroke. It's from top to bottom, from left to right. Let's look at the next group. 竖提. It's composed by a vertical line at the left. The variation of it is 竖折 and 竖钩, 竖弯 and 竖弯钩. This group is 竖折撇. And the transformation is 竖折折. Another variation is 竖折折钩. The next group, 撇点. Transform a little bit is 撇折. The next group is 斜钩. And the reverse of it is 弯钩. Make it horizontal. We have 卧钩. Okay, so far we've learned strokes that compose all the Chinese characters. So next time, whenever you see a Chinese character, try to disassemble it into these strokes, and you will see they are actually very simple. Well, probably you still feel like this is too complicated for you, but you really don't need to worry about the complexity. You know what? We native Chinese take the entire elementary school to learn how to write the Chinese characters gradually. And to be honest, since nowadays we type more on computer, and I have forgotten how to write some characters too. So you really don't need to be afraid that you can't write Chinese. The first thing and probably the only thing you need to do in order to survive in China is just to recognize character when you see it. Here are some tips to learn to write Chinese characters more effectively. The first one is know the logic and the picture behind the character. As we said before, it's a pictographic writing system for Chinese. So when you see a character, just try to imagine the picture associated with it, and it will prompt you how to write it. For characters with many strokes, for example the compound character, you can disassemble it to individual characters or individual strokes. Then try to imitate to write it gradually. Last but not the least, as we said, rather than writing Chinese characters, the more important thing is to recognize it when you see it on TVs or menus. So you need to get yourself familiar with the look of those common characters. One effective way is to read. Read more stories you're interested in, and I'm sure you'll find yourself know a lot of Chinese characters one day. If you need more interesting reading materials or want to get more help, don't forget to go to our website and ask for help. In the next lesson, we are going to dive into some interesting topics. The first thing is, of course, eating. We will learn everything about eating. Alright, see you next time.